But being an eco-evangelist, as my mate there said earlier, I travelled back from India, having got there on a plane, by land. And I travelled through Iran, which is an incredibly inspiring country. I don't know if some of you, most of you have probably seen images of Iran on telly with people being shot in the streets and people sort of raving insanely on Israeli flags and things like that. But what struck me about Iran was the women of Iran and their courage and their incredible sort of dignity and humanity, despite being continually crushed in the most unreal ways. Legally in Iran, a woman is worth half of a man. So if you're giving testimony in court and it's a man's testimony against a woman's, her words will literally be worth 50% of his. So you need 3 women to testify against 1 man in order to have any sway. Also, there's something called blood money in Iran. When someone is murdered, the murderer has to pay, as well as the death penalty, the murderer's family has to pay blood money to the victim's family. And if the victim is a woman, they have to pay half the amount of blood money to the victim's family. So the women of Iran are extraordinary in that they still manage to smile, really. They're amazing. So this is for the women of Iran. With massive respect for Islam, as I have as well, so you should know that. Bullet brain mullahs with stiff backbones want to turn women into little black cones, but the robes that the Ayatollah imposed are billowing up to show rings on their toes and glimpses of glints in their eye. The eye that might be the why in defy. In defiance of rules, still they live and die with them. Rule book definitely wasn't written by women. Look, Fatima indulged in adultery, and the neighbourly soul told police. Now Fatima's hanging from the gallows, a twist in her neck, black flies in her swollen feet, and I'm not sure Muhammad would want this. And do you really think the Prophet would want this? Peace be upon him, I don't think the Prophet would have wanted this. Muhammad wouldn't have wanted 30 lashes with a government whip and 6 months in a prison for kissing in public. Prisons where coppers have blood on their dicks because rape is a pillar of the system of justice. And some women say the system just is, but some of them buck it with pride wide as a mother's hips. 5 times a human, being that women are considered machines for bringing up kids, legally speaking. Meaning half of Iran live with just half of a man's freedom. And that's deep as the Persian Gulf between the words and the souls of the leaders. I don't think Muhammad would want this. And do you really think Muhammad would want this? Nah, Muhammad wouldn't have wanted this. The Prophet would not want this. Thank you. Thing as well is the resilience of the youthful energy that people have there, because one of the other things you're not allowed to do, added to kissing in public or showing affection or wearing particular clothes, is dance. You're not allowed to dance or have a party of any kind. In fact, if you have a party in your lounge and your neighbour spots it in Iran, you can go to prison and probably be sentenced to something like 30 or 40 lashes. But we went to some wicked parties in Iran. Amazing. And they all take place in people's lounges with the curtains drawn and strobe lights that they all have tucked away under their beds. And they bring out the strobe lights and they play the music very, very quietly and rave like lunatics. And this is for them. This is for the young people of Iran. There used to be a waterfall here. It leapt out of the rocks with a yell. People used to come from all over just to camp close to where the water fell. But then the government banned falling, and the cascade shrank to a stream, reduced to 2 pipes and 1 gutter, just enough to wet the mud to a dull gleam. But still, the officials felt threatened, so they built walls to hold the water in. Now the 2 pipes piss into a puddle that's occasionally ruffled by the wind. But this couple still come to take pictures. And they look up to the hills in the hope it's snowed. And they swap stories of the old river. Or their son picks through the puddles for a stone to throw. And he grows. And he grows. And he grows. And Muhammad knows what it means to dance dreams. And they couldn't dam his flow because it's flooding through his arteries. And he closes curtains, but he won't close his arms, please. Can't you hear the volume of his heartbeat? He's a war drum, and he's got friends the same as him. Immense, irrespective of attempts to cage him in. Young, proud Iranians. Who said the music died? A million Muhammads kept the roots alive. They fed it rhythm and illicit booze, and it grew by the light of a strobe in the living room. Angular, angry, broad-leaved enough to catch the screams of, "I love this fucking tune!"